Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Porte ISD, and thank you for being here. It's now 7:03 p.m. Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. I hereby call this meeting to order. Notice that this meeting was posted in the manner required by law at 5 p.m. Thursday, June 6th. The Board of Trustees of the Porte Independent School District is now convened. Trustee Melissa Crutcher is not present as she's attending her sister's wedding overseas. However, let the record show that the remaining 6 members are seated and a quorum is present. As a Porte ISD Board of Trustees, every student's success is our #1 priority. We are here to set goals, adopt policy, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and communicate the district's vision and success to the community. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. School board meetings are open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. However, audience participation is limited to the patron presentation portion of the meeting, and board members may not respond to those comments made in the public comment section. These proceedings may be recorded, and I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking. At this time, will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas flag? Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. If you will bow your heads for tonight's invocation. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray for your presence here tonight. Grant us the wisdom and discernment to guide our path as we evaluate, discuss, and shape the vision of this district. Strengthen our resolve to do your will and to recognize every opportunity to serve all those you have entrusted to our care. We pray you will fan the flames in the hearts of those who teach. You will continue to bless and protect our children, our faculty, our district, and this community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. You may be seated. We're going to go straight to item 5. And Ms. Terry.
Good evening. We have some recognitions tonight that we're really excited about. This past school year, some of our senior level culinary arts students had the unique opportunity for real world experience thanks to 3 local restaurants. The students who had completed their Serve Safe Food Manager certification during their 3rd year of culinary instruction were enrolled in the practicum in culinary arts, completing work-based learning opportunities at Gringo's Mexican Kitchen, Ed's Bistro, and Maine 101. Many of these students are planning on careers in the food industry, and we are grateful for the local business owners and managers who allowed them this invaluable instructional experience in their successful restaurants. Before we recognize our business partners individually, I'd like to acknowledge LaPorte High School culinary arts teacher Leslie Grantham, who approached them with the idea, developed the program with the restaurant owners and managers, and is the supervisor for the internships. Leslie, would you please stand? And I'd also like to acknowledge Marissa Lopez, who's our Career and Technical Education Coordinator. We'd like to recognize Ed and Jody Revac of Ed's Bistro. Thank you for providing our students with the opportunity to learn about fine dining from an experienced chef and work alongside your staff. And if you'd come forward, we have a certificate for you, and we'd like to take your picture with our board members. So take your picture.
You bet. Front and center? Okay.
Oh, we're doing a front and center. I don't know what's skinny.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Next, we'd like to recognize Gringo's Mexican Kitchen, represented by Danny Hanks, where students not only had the chance to learn about preparing food in a fast-paced, larger restaurant, but also learned about restaurant management. This afternoon, Joe Bertuglia with Maine 101 called and let us know that he was unable to make it after all. So he was really disappointed, but I wanted to acknowledge him and express our gratitude to Maine 101 for their participation. So thank you to Maine 101. Thank you.
All right, we'll move to item 6, public comment. The board will now hear those who wish to make comment and who have completed and returned the public comment participation request. This session will be conducted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act and board policy. Complaints and/or concerns for which other resolution channels are provided shall be directed through those channels. Mr. Shaw.
No, Mr. President, nobody.
All right, please let the record show we do not have any registered speakers, so we'll move on to item 7, election of board officials, officers, and reorganization of the board for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Dr. Jackson will now reorganize by electing a president, vice president, and secretary in order to conduct the election. Superintendent Dr. Walter Jackson will serve as president pro tem, as posted on the agenda, to serve during the reorganization of the board and election of officers. Dr. Jackson?
Thank you, Mr. President. Board members, as President Pro Tem, it is my responsibility to oversee the reorganization of the board and conduct the election of board officers. At this time, I ask the board for consent to use the roll call election method. In this method, the board will be called upon one at a time to announce the nominee of their choice. If there is more than one nominee for an office, and if a majority of votes are not cast for any one candidate, voting will continue until one nominee receives a majority. If there is only one nominee for a position, that person is declared elected, and I will not have to call for a vote. All in favor of utilizing this roll call election method, please raise your hand. Thank you. We will begin with the board position of board president. Board members' nominations are now in order for the office of president, and we'll start with Ms. Deanne Hunt.
I would like to nominate Danny Hanks.
Danny Hanks.
Third.
Danny Hanks.
Danny Hanks.
Mr. Hanks?
I think you have to vote.
I think you have to.
Jeff.
Are there any other nominations for president? Danny Hanks is nominated for the office of president. Are there any other nominations? No. Are there other further nominations? I have to read what's on the paper. Congratulations, Mr. Hanks. Turn it over to now for President Hanks.
All right, we will move. Thank you very much, board. I really, yeah, you.
Okay.
We'll defer back to you.
You can go back to it.
We're in trouble, Mason. It's mine for the rules.
Congratulations, Mr. Hanks. You have been declared the elected president, office of president. I will now call upon each board member, one at a time, to announce the nominee of their choice for vice president. Ms. Thompson?
Jeff Martin.
Jeff Martin.
Okay. Martin?
Willing worker, whatever. That's fine. Sure.
Jeff Martin.
Jeff Martin.
Jeff Martin.
Congratulations, Mr. Martin.
I don't take notes anymore, so that's Candace.
have to do this.
I can't read my own handwriting.
We will continue with the position of board vice, now secretary. And we will begin with Ms. Thompson.
Mason Paris.
Mason Paris.
Mason.
Mason?
Mason. Sir.
Right answer.
Congratulations, Mr. Burris.
So that about real low, Mason.
I'll turn this back over to the board president.
Hope I can live up to Jeff.
Yeah, I appreciate it very much, board, and it's been a pleasure. I think we're gonna have another great year. So we will move on to item 8, and
Mr. Hanks,
yes,
does he go ahead and hand over his duties to Mr. Paris now, since he's doing?
yeah,
Do I hand my duties over to you?
Oh,
Sure,
oh,
yes.
well, no.
I'm pulling about 20 minutes.
Oh,
Wasn't on my sheet.
I have to read.
What you gotta do,
Where am I?
you'll get this.
Oh, I gotta sign that, so. That's the one that's,
Anything else on my part?
that's from the, that's my
No,
That's
but
certified.
You'll do signatures at the end, but not right now.
I was just gonna say, if that's a certified candidate, Jeff should do it, because he was secretary.
Because he was secretary during the, yes.
I was asking.
Do I do this now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, pardon us. Obviously, we don't do this all the time. But we have elected to table item 8, our discussion just concerning our budget. We know that it is a very delicate, very sensitive, very complicated responsibility. And at this time, we are going to table that discussion. We will be posting a workshop. Public will be open to attend. And then the public hearing will be rescheduled at that time. So we appreciate your patience as we work through this. But do trust that it is because we want to get it right. And there's just a lot of things that still need to be worked out, and we will get that done. So appreciate it on that. And we'll move to item 9, our administrative reports.
Thank you, Mr. President. Board, you have a copy of the superintendent's report. I will not read that as we have several presentations under my area tonight, and so I'll turn it back over to Mr. President.
Okay, then we'll go with our academic update. We'll start there on B.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, this is the wrong one. Sorry, I don't have the right glasses on. Good evening. Board President Hanks, congratulations on your appointment. Members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Jackson. I'd like to give a brief update this evening on academics with some of our very early preliminary STAR scores in and give you an overall feel of what we're seeing. Before I begin, I do want to talk a little bit about who we serve in our district and demonstrate to you some of the changes that we've noticed over the last 10 years with our population. You'll notice that there have been some changes in some of our ethnic groups that indicate, perhaps services attached and so forth. But as you see in this slide, there are several areas of adjustment that over the last 10 years have been noted. Particularly, we've seen a 10% increase in our economically disadvantaged students. We've seen a 2.5% increase in our dyslexia services students. We've seen a 5.5% increase in our special education services students and a 1.7% increase in our 504 students. So something for us to just simply consider when we look at a changing demographic, that indicates, of course, a changing strategy and how we serve those students we know that we've gotten some preliminary STAR scores in. They are preliminary, they are early, but I do want to talk a little bit tonight about our successes and the things that we have to celebrate. I do want to note at the start of this celebration that, and we'll talk a little more about it at the end of the presentation, but overall the state scores are down for the entire state of Texas. But we have much to celebrate in terms of our performance. Our STAR RLA early scores show that we are well above the state performance in almost every area, with the exception of our master's level performance. which is something very big to celebrate when in the state these scores have decreased. We are also celebrating our math performance. We are seeing that again in math we are outperforming our state in the state in almost every area with some notable exceptions. Obviously junior high math continues to be a challenge for us and some levels of mastery that we're not seeing just yet. But overall we are still well above state performance in almost every area with mathematics. With science, similar, we are seeing ourselves outperform the state by a large margin in many areas. Again, with exception with masters, and as we've talked about in the last few years, masters continues to be an area of growth for us. It's not anything that we're not aware of, but it continues to be something that we look for. But we're getting close. And same thing with social studies. We've really got some areas to celebrate here with our social studies. I do want to go back to math and highlight two very important wins here for us. And while again, we just have preliminary data, I do want to highlight that we have seen a huge increase in our performance at 6th grade. If you remember last year, our 6th grade scores were not where the state was, and you can see we are well above where the state is with 6th grade performance in math. Yes. And we were not at the level of state performance with Algebra 1 either, and if you notice, we have seen a giant increase with where we are with Algebra 1 performance, which is really great. We have really worked and focused hard on those areas, and I don't want to overlook those celebrations. And in fact, we'll talk about it in a minute, but we have the lowest number of retesters sitting in summer school this year than we've had in the last several years. So that's really worth celebrating. Okay, skipping along. Some other things that I want to highlight for you is other ways that we measure the students' progress in Porte ISD. STAR, as you know, is a state-normed assessment. It is only given to students in the state of Texas, and so our pool of comparison are just students in Texas. When we look at how our students are going and doing throughout the year, we use some nationally normed assessments to help us predict student performance, and MAP is one of those predictors. And I wanted to highlight some pretty significant gains that we are seeing with our national peers in terms of growth in reading and in math. So those are also some pieces to celebrate. What you'll notice on here that we only see celebrations through 8th grade because we do not test math at the high school level. So this is really big celebration. And again, you'll notice 6th grade math is on this list. So really great things to celebrate. And 6th grade RLA with a 10% increase on math. So that's really worth celebrating too. So, some areas that we are focused on and plans that we have in place. We know that math performance is not where we want it to be, and as you'll note, and we talk about in a minute, math performance in the entire state of Texas is down this year on the STAR performance, which is discouraging. But we've known that we've had some math challenges. As I've mentioned, we've targeted some things in the last year, and we've really seen some gains, and so we'll continue to dig in and target some of the areas that we know we need to continue to move. Math performance in all grades and junior high math performance in particular will continue to be focused for us. We've got several things that we've already got in place. As we've talked about before, we have started the advanced math pathway change. That will start with our 5th graders this year. We will start advancement earlier. I want to remind you that in 7th grade, on the 7th grade STAR scores, what you see are an absence of any advanced testers within that pool of students. And so you can imagine 160 students are not testing at the highest level in that 7th grade group because they skip 7th grade tests in our current advanced pathway. Wow. So what we are doing is adjusting our advanced math pathway to start advancement in 5th grade, where our students have the most number of minutes for instruction in 5th grade. We will teach 5th and 6th combined standards in 5th grade, and the students will take the 6th grade STAR at the end of their 5th grade, and they will skip the 5th grade assessment. That way, in 6th grade, they will take the 7th grade STAR, and we will have advanced testers in that 7th grade group in 2 years. Does that make sense? Some other things that we have done to provide improvement in mathematics, we have applied for and have been awarded the LASSO grant with TEA, which is Strong Foundations in Math Planning. So really articulating a framework for good, solid math instruction in our district, setting those expectations so everybody understands what we believe about math instruction. We've realigned our supplemental resources. Last year we evaluated all our supplemental resources to ensure that they were rigorous and aligned to the STAR, and we've made some adjustments that will begin implementing new resources in the fall. We've applied for and have for the last 3 years been working under the RSSP grant. That has been really helpful for us in our junior high math areas, where we have implemented small group instruction in junior high for the intervention block with some good success. And we're going to continue that work into the new year and look forward to seeing even more improvement with that small group instruction for math intervention block. In addition to that, we will be working on having really focused campus improvement plans going into the new year, really being intentional about what do those strategies look like on the campus and how are they going to shore up math performance. And then when we get more data and more information from the STAR exam, we're really going to do a deep dive into what is this test, what is it testing, and how does it align to our curriculum, so we can make sure that we have all the pieces in place that we need to for math instruction. For science, we saw some adjustments in our science performance, and we aren't sure yet what that really means, but we can only anticipate that the new standards that are being implemented in the fall of 24 are going to have having an impact in some way on the assessment. So know that all the TEKs for science for K-12 are changing, and those are going to be implemented this fall, this next school year. So with that, in science, we are also implementing new instructional materials. So we have all new textbooks, all new standards, a whole new ballgame in science next year. So we've got a lot of plans for supporting teachers and implementing those new instructional pieces. And then we're also going to take a look at our focused campus improvement plans, and again, a deep dive into our curriculum, and we see what more that STAR assessment can tell us about how they're testing science in the new test. And then lastly, our focus, while we are seeing great gains with writing and reading across the district, we still are not seeing the level of master's performance that we would like to see. And so really, we know that is the writing component. We haven't had a uniform writing instruction since the new STAR assessment started 2 years ago. Before that, if you remember, we would assess students in writing in grade 4 and grade 7 only. And so now it's in every grade level. And so we are scaffolding to, really good, solid writing instruction at every grade level to ensure that our students are performing at master's level on the assessment. So some things that we're working on here, not only just what does that good instruction look like in the classroom, but then also what do our essays look like, and how do we shore those up? So we've been working on the literacy framework development, again, just as a document that talks about what are our expectations about good literacy instruction and practices in Porte ISD. Here's what it should look like, because here's what we believe about good literacy instruction. And so we're rolling that out in fall of 24, and that's going to underscore some new expectations for classroom instruction and how instruction is organized in some of the RLA classrooms. We've also applied for, cross your fingers, a grant for the Reading Academy Leadership with Region 4. That will provide us with some instructional coaching from some experts on the Reading Academy implementation. All of our teachers have now been through the Reading Academy, and so this will be an opportunity for us to work with some state level experts on how are we implementing Reading Academy and help us tweak our practices for early instruction with literacy with that grant. So hopefully we get that grant.
And coming from Region 4, which is an arm of the TEA, hopefully
Correct.
we're getting a glimpse into what it is that they actually want us to be doing,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Great.
Yes, according to the field expert from Region 4 that I've spoken with, what they're seeing in some early trials from last year with this work is they're seeing some incredible gains in the early grades with the campuses and teachers that have worked in this way with leadership coaching. So we're excited to have that hopefully come to our district this fall. And then again, realigning curriculum and writing expectations, as I mentioned, and then as we get this assessment back and we look at these students' essays and we look at the test, we can better analyze exactly what does this look like with alignment with our curriculum. And that's information that we just still don't have. So while we are chewing on some of these early results and things that we've got planned out, there are a couple things that I want you to really make sure you consider. That first and foremost, that we don't have all the pieces yet. This is incomplete data. This is early stage data. We still have a lot of the words we use in the shop, as I call it. We've got to scrub the data because there's a lot of pieces to that. So once we get more information, we will continue to analyze what this tells us, and we'll have better information in the months to come. I want you to remember also that this is STAR 2.0 still, and so we do not really fully understand this assessment. You joke, but this is exactly how we feel sometimes, like Charlie Brown. The STAR 2.0 allowed us to have a multitude of new item types, and so if you look at a STAR release test and it said this standard was tested in this way, but then the next test, it's tested with a different item type in a different way. It's like, well, it's really truly a moving target. And so we're really trying hard to study that and embed all of these different item types and all the different possibilities that it could possibly be when every standard could be possibly tested in 10 different ways. It's a challenge to really understand fully and deeply the target. So we're working on that. The other thing that I want to make sure we talk about is the fact that this is the technology age, and the state of Texas has told us that our essays are being scored by non-humans. So 75% of our writing is being scored by non-human. They don't want us to use AI, so I won't use AI, but non-humans, whatever that looks like in the state of Texas. So only 25% of our essays are being scored by actual humans, and that's only as a verification factor. So we need to learn what that means. So when computers are scoring our essays, what do computers look for, and what do computers pick up on, and what keywords and buzzwords are going to get a kid from this score to that score. So there's a lot of deep analysis about what does this new test tell us, so that helps us understand how to actually play the game.
You have to learn to take the test.
We need to learn how to take this test, which is continuing to change.
Based on an algorithm now, it sounds like.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Craziness. So it's a learning curve for us all. And then the last thing that I want to mention is we consider all of these scores. This is not our data. This slide represents the data from the state of Texas compared to last year's data. And so you will see that this is not our data. This is the state of Texas. And you can see that there is not much for this year for the state of Texas that is not in red. And as you study this deeply, you can see that there are some significant deficits for our students from across the state of Texas that has me gravely concerned about what is this test really doing and saying to us about how kids test.
Schools are failing, we need to. That's what you're saying.
It's certainly something for us to analyze deeply, but when we look at some of these numbers across the state of Texas, I can't help but wonder, what does this mean? So, as we get more information, we will continue to analyze to know what it's going to mean for us here in the Porte ISD, but I do want to remind you that we are performing largely above where the state is, and even where you see the state has declined in many of these areas, we have grown, so that's much to celebrate. More details to come on that when we feel confident about the numbers that we have.
This is one data point.
One data point, and that's a great point. You know, we talk a lot about triangulation of data as a validation method for good information. You don't ever want to, you know, measure anything once, right? But this is what the state of Texas asks us to do, and so all the moons and stars have to align on this one day for every single kid in our district in order for us to have a positive outcome, and it's a challenge. You know, we look at lots of predicting and leading data indicators to help us understand where kids are on track to success, and at the end of the day, you know, the kid doesn't have breakfast that morning, he doesn't perform well on the assessment. So many things are out of our control, and it's one data point that is so heavily weighted, which is tough. But we are going to continue to study it and learn and figure out how we can continue to make gains for our kids. So some things on the horizon. This week, June 7th, or actually last week, parents for the high school for EOC grades had access to their STAR scores using our Home Access Center on the web. On the 14th, parents will have access to the students who are in grades 3 and 8 on the Home Access web as well. The week of June 24th, we will have STAR EOC retesting days, and let me just remind you again, we have the smallest number of retesters that we've ever had, so that's super exciting stuff. But they will also be retesting that week of June 24th. And then as we get more information, we don't have definitive dates on when some of this information is coming, but as we get it this summer, we're going to continue to analyze and crunch and scrub and do all the things so that we can come back to you and talk to you more about the successes that we've had. Questions?
I have a couple, sorry, I want to question. I heard this kind of baffled my mind to hear this, but I heard from 3 different teachers recently that had students where the parent came in and start testing and told the kid, just turn it in blank or just fill in whatever. And we had others that said, don't take the test at all, come sit here. So can you explain how big of a detriment that is? And also, is that, like, if somebody just does that, how's that really, you know, throw everything off? But is it a problem? Is it just a handful of kids, or is this?
It's always our highest performing students, often, that are of the pool. So when you think about mathematics and you think about how the law of averages, You know, whenever you have a high-performing student that doesn't add into the mix, it certainly doesn't help your scores, right? There's not that many students that I'm aware of in this district. Maybe Jennifer can speak a little more to that, but certainly none are helpful when they don't come, right?
Yeah, we had about 3 to 5 this year. Basically, we have to mark it as a score, so it's an automatic failure for the district. So while parents believe they can opt out,
If that kid is enrolled in this district and they turn it
Yeah.
back in, it's a failure for us.
Wow, that's crazy.
And there's a lot of parents that really believe that they can write that letter and that's the.
yep,
And it's becoming bigger across.
yes, it
Yeah,
is.
there's
Yes.
lots of websites.
But that could hurt any small elementary.
Yes, yes.
Right, 5 students could, it may not have been 5 on one campus.
No, there was
But anyway.
3 different campuses or
That
one
could
each.
hurt- that could
Yeah,
hurt
yes,
campus.
yes.
And depending on what group they're in as well.
Mhm.
That, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Heard
really.
several
It's
times.
gonna hurt us in
Yeah.
some way
You don't
or
have a
another
big
for sure.
percentage. Yeah.
The other thing I want to ask, and I don't want to minimize, you have to mention massive gains, and certainly applaud the work y'all doing, and I've seen it among my own 5th grader, right? But I did have a question about, what stood out a little bit is the 7th grade math. You mentioned the 6th grade math, that class is now 7th grade. So it stood out because we're so far behind the state and pretty much across the board. But what really stood out more is that the state, like, that category is substantially lower across the board. I'm just curious, like, do y'all have any inclination why that is with that class? And B, like, I know you mentioned the different things we're doing for junior high as a whole, but are we putting more effort into that, I guess now the 8th graders?
Yes, so the 8th graders certainly are under the microscope this next year. You are right to ask that question. It is a head scratcher for me as well, because none of our internal data predicted that would be the way that the scores would turn out for that group. So it was a huge surprise. When we look at, I mentioned triangulating data, we look at all of this data to make sure that kids are on track and that we're not surprised and that we're able to predict some of these things. And there's generally good alignment between how MAP data looks and how STAR data looks. But what's interesting is at the end of the year data for our MAP scores for our 7th graders reflects what the state reflects. So what happened on that day for those 7th graders, how they took that test, it's a head scratcher. So until we have more information about what the test looks like and what the questions look like and how students scored themselves, I mean, this is going to be one of our big areas of focus for next year, for sure.
What kind of adverse effects will the new pathway have on the 7th grade math? Will it affect us negatively or help us?
So there's not going to be a group of students who will test in 7th grade as an advanced academic group this year. They will test next year. The adverse effect of this transition will be next year we will have 2 grade levels that will not have an advanced group of testers, because we will have no advanced testers in 6th because those new 5th graders will be skipping 6th. Actually, that's not true. The 6th graders will be taking 6th advanced. But anyway, we'll have an overlap, but then there will be a 7th grade group. So we'll just have one more year where we won't have advanced testers in 7th grade. Yeah.
Board, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll now move on to item C, the athletic update.
All right, good evening. President Hanks, Dr. Jackson, Board of Trustees. I'm here this evening to provide you all with a Porte ISD athletics update. This update today will include some student data from the 23-24 school year. We'll also highlight some of our accomplishments that we've had this year at both the high school and junior high levels. I'll give you a status update on our summer programming that we're in the midst of. And then lastly, kind of a what's new for the 24-25 school year and what you can expect to see from the Porte ISD athletics. I'd like to share with you before I move on our vision and our purpose, which is to support total educational growth while developing well-rounded student athletes who exhibit sportsmanship and character through competition. Athletics by the numbers. So this year, our LaPorte ISD student athletes participated in 1,343 competitions at both the high school and the junior high level. We currently have 1,118 student athletes in our programs. And if we break that down by campus, at the high school it's 654, and then the gender breakdown is 380 boys and 274 girls. with approximately 40% of those athletes participating in multiple sports. At the junior high level, we have 464 athletes, 239 boys and 225 girls. And all those students participate in multiple sports. Just in case you're wondering, we do track the number of student athletes, and our number of student athletes from last year to this year has increased about 10 to 12%.
Oh, good.
So it's trending up. Next, our accomplishments. And before I move on with this slide, I want to acknowledge our coaches in the back of the room, typical coaches in the back of the room. But they on a great school year. I've been in this district coaching and teaching for 22 years, and this has been one of the most successful years that I can recall in athletics. 80% of our programs at the high school level advance to postseason competition. 100% of our ball sports advance to postseason competition. So it's a great it was a great year. You know, I'm super proud of our coaches, of our students, of our athletes, and the community in general. It's a great community to serve. So congratulations and super proud. To kind of further break down our accomplishments at the high school level, we had 4 UIL individual state qualifiers, 4 UIL regional qualifying teams. I'm proud to call us the District 8-5A football district champions, first time since, 2016? We had our first ever regional powerlifting champion, and 21 of our student athletes signed to play at the next level, with our largest signing day since 2017 being held in May, with 12 student athletes had signed. So it's been a great year for every good coach knows that our high school programs are only as good as our feeder programs at the junior high, and so our success at the junior high level is equally as impressive. Lomax and LaPorte Junior High together had 10 Bay Area League tournament qualifying teams, 3 Bay Area League championship teams, and multiple Bay Area League track and field events champions. Summer camps and programming. We're in the midst of our summer strength and conditioning program. We started it the Tuesday after Memorial Day. Hit the ground running. We all know, just like, you know, high school programs are only as good as our junior high programs. Programs in general are only as good as their off season. So we started, you know, right at the beginning at our very first opportunity on May 28th. All sessions for our summer strength conditioning program, all 3 sessions, junior high and high school, are being held at the high school. That's grades 7th through 12th. We go through May, we go through June, we have a week in July that we also hold camp. Being back at the high school was purposeful. You know, we've had satellite camps up until this past year. We've had a camp at Lomax, we had a camp at LPJ, but we really wanted to bring everybody back together and have strength conditioning camp at the high school, because the vision is when the stadium opens that all the student athletes are out there working hard in the stadium and in the weight room, and they'll look forward to being a Bulldog and participating in that stadium. 404 students are currently participating in our summer strength and conditioning program, which is the most in a while. It was a wow the first day. On May 28th, it was a wow. We had to pivot. I have to give credit to our strength and conditioning coach, Coach Travis Janeway. We pivoted and we managed, but it was a great, especially being the Tuesday after Memorial Day. I thought it was a really great showing, and our numbers have gone up incrementally, not a lot, but we usually have the best showing of the first couple of weeks in June. In addition to the 3 sessions that we have for 7th through 12th graders, we will also be holding a foundational strength and conditioning camp at the end of July, early August, and I'll talk a little bit more about that because that's something new to the 24-25 school year. Summer sport camps. We have 10 summer sport camps that are being offered this summer. We've had football camp, we've had tennis camp. So far, we've had baseball. I'm in the middle of girls basketball camp. We anticipate between 900 and 1,000 participants if we include our summer strength and conditioning camp. So great opportunities for students, great opportunities for parents to get their kids out of the house. So check us out. We have all of our camps listed on our website. But it's a busy summer for our coaches and our kids. Okay, what's new? What's new for the 24-25 school year? So we had realignment this past February, and the good news is that football is back in Region 3. Football has been participating in Region 2, which aligns with the Dallas schools for the last 2 years. So with that, we have not had any common opponents. That's why we if you noticed, we matched up with Lancaster in the by-district round of playoffs this past year. But football's back in Region 3. They'll participate in District 11 5A for football. The other sports will participate in 25A. Not much changes to those that district. We lose Manville, but we gain Iowa Colony, essentially. Common opponents, I mean, that's one drawback with the split division for 5A, is that as football's division splits, Division 1, Division 2, you know, you don't always see that there's the common opponents that we're accustomed to competing against the same teams throughout the year. This year we have two. Friendswood, we've kind of developed a nice little rivalry with them, but we also will add Angleton to the next 2 years for realignment as common opponents. Today was a big day in UIL, as Dr. Jackson will know. He was at the Legislative Council meeting today, and I had an asterisk by that in my slide presentation, because UIL was proposing this morning a playoff structure change starting August 1st of 2024, and that passed. So what that means is there will now be 2 pathways to a championship for sports other than football. Okay, so for 5A, for volleyball, for basketball, for soccer, for baseball and softball, you know, we still have 4 teams that will advance to the playoffs. When those 4 teams advance, they look at the 4 teams' enrollment. The top 2 teams will go to Division 1. The bottom 2 teams in terms of enrollment numbers will go to Division 2. So there'll be a Division 1 5A championship for girls basketball. There'll be a Division 2 5A girls championship for basketball. So yeah, it's similar to how the 6A for football, how we operate in the past and how their current setup is. So that's pretty significant. It's pretty significant, big change. Next, as I mentioned before, the foundational skills camp for our 6th grade students. As we know, our 6th grade students attend a camp that's all by themselves, and they're not mixed in with our 7th and 8th grade and have an opportunity to be with those athletic coaches. So with our strength coaches and our Baker PE coaches, we have developed we're working to develop a foundational skills camp for those students, really where the focus is just foundational athletic movements. The camp will be 4 days, hour and a half, and so we'll introduce those athletic movements. The PE coaches from Baker will be there as well, learning, and the goal is to incorporate those movements into our 6th grade PE classes, kind of as a pre-athletic type setup.
And that, you said that's the end of July?
Yes, ma'am. July 30th through August 2nd.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next, new for the school year, we have our Captain's Council. Football piloted this program in the spring, and what we've done is every program has had the opportunity to nominate 2 to 3 to 4, depending on the size of their program, student athletes that they've deemed as captains. And these captains will come together, all the program captains will come together, and we'll meet frequently throughout the year. The focus is just to develop effective and influential leaders. It's really hard, and I can speak to this as a coach. It's sometimes, I mean, you see it in the kids, but it's sometimes hard to get it out of them. It's hard for them it doesn't come naturally for them to lead their peers. So that's really by design what this Captain's Council is going to really focus on. Essentially, it's a character in our leadership development program, and what these captains learn, it'll trickle down. Our coaches are going to have the opportunity to really guide the focal points as we meet together over the summer. You know, talk about what we experience as coaches and make sure that translates to the team building activities that we do for the Captain's Council. But really, it's to help foster strategic thinking, confidence, and leadership qualities in general. The last important initiative is the Texas Way. This is relatively new. It's a sportsmanship initiative. It was announced last week at our athletic directors conference. It's a statewide collaborative campaign. So it's the UIL, it's the Texas High School Coaches Association, it's the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association, TGC, all together. We recognize that sportsmanship with our students, with our coaches, with our fans has become a growing issue. In the past 5 years, 100% of our player ejections has increased 100%. Officials, fan ejections has increased 45%. Coach ejections has increased 50%. So this is all we heard the last year in summer, and we've talked about it in our coaches meetings. We have to preach sportsmanship, and the Porte ISD wasn't excluded. We released a letter, detailing, behavior expectations. We put up signs. We made announcements. So what I think this initiative does, it really just brings everyone together. There'll be coaches trainings, there'll be player trainings, there'll be opportunities for us to share the information to our parents at our booster club meetings and at our parent meetings. And then the information is not out yet, it's just been announced, but it's going to be launched in coaching school in July. So the Porte ISD, we've already signed up for it, so we're looking forward to that initiative coming on and being a part of it.
Awesome.
Lastly, we've talked about what's upcoming for next year. We talked about all our accomplishments, and we've talked about our numbers and data and all those things. How do you hear about them? How are we going to push this out into the community? All the positive things that our kids and coaches are doing. Well, we've got a social media push. We've got 3 platforms that we're really going to focus on utilizing this next school year. And our head coaches have been meeting, developing a plan, setting our expectations. We're working in the off season too, because we want to make sure that our platforms are in place so that when August starts and we start in with these competitions, that we have modes of communication with our stakeholders. So our Porte ISD Athletics website is one. Our Twitter account as a district and individual sports programs and campuses have theirs as well. And then lastly, hot off the press, our Porte ISD Athletics Facebook, which we launched in April. So we're really going to work hard to figure out a plan and set those expectations so that we can get all the great things that we're doing out in the community and beyond. And that's all I have for you guys. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have one. I think you do a great job, so thank you very much. And the social media, and I know the little banners that we had that said Monday this week, Tuesday this week, Wednesday this week, that was very helpful. Because really, unless Candace puts a big game on the calendar, then at least the board doesn't really ever know. So the Facebook thing was very helpful, and I think we had a good showing at a lot of the events. I went to the baseball camp one day this week. I taught them how to play, and but it was very good. Coach Torres, and I believe that was for the little kids.
Can you hit a ball, Ricky?
Say yes.
He said some of them.
I stayed in the dugout and got water for the kids. And, popsicles. I don't use the word water boy, but it was very good, so I appreciated that. You talked about junior high funnel programs. I know one that Coach Forbes has worked very hard on is getting a junior high program started to funnel up that for the high school for golf, because golf's not something you learn in your first year. You start competing freshman year. Right. Has there been any progress on that, or a way to help Coach Forbes?
In fact, we set up meetings at both junior highs this spring, and the golf program was represented and pulled students aside, and we've gotten several emails with interested students and connected them with parents, and Coach Forbes is setting up a time for them to come out to the course and so they can work to experience that. Because that was one of our.
I know it's hard to get them to come, and then it's not. We don't have a facility on campus. Blessed to have a golf course in Fort, but it's hard for them to get to and from if they don't have anything.
Okay, I have 2 questions. Sure. Being a junior high coach and requiring most of our kids to play those 6, 7 sports that we have, which is what are we doing to try to make that 40% a little bit higher of those kids playing multi-sports instead of just focusing on one?
At the high school,
at the high school
level?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the key is,
you kind of need them.
Right, no, and I'll say it all the time, that we're really successful because of our multi-sport athletes. I think the key, and we talk about this with our coaches, it's one thing are we really advocating them being multi-sport athletes? It's one thing to say, okay, yeah, you can go and play XYZ, but are we really advocating? And I think what that really looks like to me is us showing our support. If I have a basketball player that's a softball player, I'm at the softball game. Really trying to support those student athletes, because it's hard. And we talk about that all the time. Being a multi-sport athlete, and a lot of our multi-sport athletes are great students, and that's their priority. We understand it's easier to say no to one or to both. But our success really, even though that 40% does sound low, our success really as a program, we rely heavily on those students that take on that heavier load.
The next thing left me is, it was something that we did years and years and years ago, and some of you out there were with me, the elementary track that we used to host. And if any of y'all were all out there, all the elementaries would come together at the track, and have one day of a big track meet where the PE teachers would schedule them per events and stuff like that, and that was a big deal. Coach Bunny and I were talking about it the other day, and would like to try to start implementing that. And I don't know if we can implement that here, especially with a beautiful track
No, I
that's
think
out there.
that's-
We can include them and they can send kids to school mode, hey, look at this nice stadium. We're using the stadium for elementary kids too and everything, and get that track meet going, get them all their colored t-shirts on, and have them sign up for 2 or 3 events and have a whole day of it and stuff. I mean, it was done years and years and years ago. I'm sure Coach Bunny knows a little bit of it. I'm sure Kelsey knows a little bit about it too. So if we could try to get that implemented again, I think that would be just awesome.
No, I agree 100%. I think our vision for this new stadium is to your point. We want whatever we can do to showcase our facilities, Porte ISD, we want to do it. And I think that's a great example of that.
I think there is, pressure is not the right word, but for a lot of the student athletes, the coaches are, and I hate to use the word pressure, but pressuring them to play other sports. I know sometimes you can't, or their family can't get them basketball, but they can do volleyball. I mean, my sister, ran 5 miles this morning and then worked on volleyball and then worked on basketball or track. So, I mean, there are a lot of pressure points. I think a lot of it has to do with, our families being able to get them and do those things.
Well, a lot of it is their outside activities too, that they're more important than what school activities are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I had this is kind of random, right? And this is maybe directed at Adam more than anything because it encompasses sports and I think the fine arts as well. It's Chamber of Commerce. I'm sure a lot of different companies, we get requests. We work with different coaches, different booster clubs, and it's always kind of comes in at sporadic times. We have about 450 members or so, business members of our Chamber of Commerce, and each one of them is passionate about something. Maybe one's about band or orchestra, another's about football. I would love, I know it's easier said than done, but that's a master list that we could send out, and I'd be willing to put this in our newsletter every month. It goes out to a pretty substantial amount of people in the business community, just to give them a list. So here's all the different ways you can get, if you're passionate about sports or fine arts or whatever it may be in Porte ISD, but who they can contact. And typically maybe even, it doesn't have to be a ton of it, but the contact person and then what time of year they typically are needing the most of the donations or wherever it may be. I think we have a ton of people that are, you mentioned the community, exceptionally generous community. Right. I think a lot of times they don't know how to get connected or they hear about it after the fact. And so if we could help streamline that process, Adam, sorry to ask for more stuff from you, but I think us and others would be willing to put it out there. We just need that quote unquote master list.
Well, especially with the booster clubs not being able to sell things at the events. So those things are some of our struggle.
Well, we worked closely with Stacey McDowell this past year on kind of reestablishing our booster club expectations, and so we do. That's kind of part of that was to make sure that we have the president, the board, the officers, that information, contact information on file with the CFO. So we can certainly, that's a good starting point, I think, to help you out to distribute that information.
The booster club meeting and PowerPoint that was put out. People were very, not that everyone follows it to the T, but it made a big difference. People come up and say, we read the PowerPoint. Okay, they didn't go to the meeting, but they got the PowerPoint or whatever it was. So as long as they're getting information,
I think it was
really helped.
That was very
helpful to make that annual.
Well, yes,
very helpful.
we will do another one in this office.
Yeah, absolutely.
We, I have said so many times that our extracurricular are the window into our district. Most people have no contact with our district except in those competitive settings. And it's so important that we go out there and represent ourselves in that manner where people get a favorable impression of what we are and who we stand for and those things. And I want to just applaud the effort is evident, and you can see that, and there's been more focus on that, and even the social media presence. I have felt that. We try to share as much as possible and just getting our message out and controlling the message that we put out so people look at us and with some respect and understand that, hey, look, we're doing some things over here. And I just applaud the whole department in terms of the strides that have been made. Winning helps. But what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? And it's like you win and creates a culture, or you start to create the culture and you start to win. And it's been refreshing to see and be a part of in a small way. And anything the board can do to continue that growth and that presence, we want to do it. We're extremely proud of what we've got. I do know that we've charged Dr. Jackson with, once the facility is done, to really try to market it more. and let people see what's about, because the kids are in awe. I mean, it's still over at Bulldog Center. You got visiting teams coming with their cell phones and their mouth hits the floor because, like, wow, this is a high school, and we're proud of that. And we just need to continue to showcase it in that manner and have that presence. The other thing, which is great to see, was going to be another major push from us, was talking about the sportsmanship and the manner that that we conduct ourselves, and the parents included, and going as far as saying, hey, we've got a policy. This is, you do this, there's infractions and there's consequence, because it's too valuable. Our image is too important in that way, and we don't want to undermine the kids that are doing things the right way. And so whatever we can do to get these kids to bulldog up, that's what we got to do. But I see some junior high coaches back there too that have definitely made some big strides also in getting us to where we need to be. So just kudos to everybody in the department in your efforts to get things going.
That's a great presentation. I just want to say that I love the Captain's Council that you're having. I think that's a great opportunity for leadership and character development, integrity, and all those kinds of things. So I love that, and I think y'all are doing great things, and it's just going to continue and grow and be bigger as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Wow.
Oh my gosh. The gang's all here.
Well, good evening, President Hanks. Congratulations, Dr. Jackson, members of the board. Thank you for having us tonight. Just going. Okay. We're going to give you I'm going to give you an update on our wonderful visual performing arts department here in Porte ISD. We're going to give you where we are, who we are. We're going to give you some stats, some data. We're going to tell you where we're going, and we're going to have you interact with us a little bit tonight to give you an idea of how much we want you to get there with us, okay? So first and foremost, where we are. These are the numbers and stats for this past 23-24 year. And this is grades 6 through 12, our enrollment. Our band program, 6 through 12, was 722 members, 394 in choir, 444 in orchestra, 570 in theater, dance 163, and our art program is 916.
Wow.
Approximately 87% of the students in our district, in our secondary campuses, are enrolled in the fine arts course.
Say that again, please.
87% of enrolled students in our district in the secondary level, 6 through 12, are enrolled in some type of fine arts course. 100% of the students this past year were enrolled in fine arts at Baker. 100% of our elementary students are experiencing elementary music at all 7 of our campuses. The student that you see in front of you taking the wonderful picture is doing that with an iPad that was part of a grant from our Education Foundation written by our LPHS art department. So that's where we are. What makes us who we are? And I'm going to skip over that first little bullet for a second. Of course, our incredible inclusive LaPorte High School musical that you do not have to be in a fine art course to be involved in. It is all welcoming. It is more of a community event than even more than a high school event. Of course, Christmas on Main Street. This is legendary throughout the city. And when I say city, I mean multiple cities. Clear Creek, Dickinson, Pasadena. They all flock to see basically our Dickens on the Strand. And all of our programs are involved in that wonderful evening. And those of you that have not experienced the wonderful traffic that starts at noon on that Thursday, I encourage you to get out there and help with the forces that go up around the city.
The district does a good job on logistics. That's
It is incredible work. Of course, last week we had our incredible summer elementary fine arts camp. And if you didn't have a chance to get out to Heritage, this is an enrollment from grades 2nd through 5 incoming to this year. we had over 120 students, grades 2 through 5, from all 7 of our elementaries, that get to experience excuse me, half a day of art and half a day of music in an incredibly inclusive, not inclusive, submersive curriculum. We offer ukulele, we offer violin, we offer art projects from incredibly simple for our babies in the 2nd grade to pretty advanced for our 5th graders. By the end of the week, they're going home with some pretty interesting pieces of artwork. This year, we had our wonderful elementary honor choir, which was from all 7 of our elementary schools based upon our 5th graders that had to go through an audition process that started in November. So these students did auditions on their campus, then they did a district audition, then they met, this was all before Christmas while they're getting ready for their Christmas programs. Then, when we came back from Christmas, we started the rehearsals for 2 major performances, the last one being as a part of our high school choir pop show, in which we brought in a guest clinician, and they got to work with a clinician at the 5th grade level for their real first experience on what it's like to sing on a huge stage with a high level amount of literature. Of course, we have our innovative Baker 6th grade piano lab. And if you've not had the opportunity to go through, Mr. McCandless over here was our very first instructor for our piano lab, and we had to write the curriculum. There isn't a Texas-based, hey, piano class, here we go. We had to write the curriculum based upon teaks at the 6th grade level, and Mr. McCandless did a wonderful job. He's moving to LaPorte Junior High as the band director next year, so Ms. Christina Hoffman will be taking over responsibilities for next year. In our visual arts, we are represented in the Houston Livestock Show, Rodeo Show, and Rodeo Art Hall of Fame, which means we have gotten so many super shows in a row, we have gone into the annals of the Hall of Fame for that district. And you have to maintain every year to stay in it. Unfortunately, we don't get the gold jacket and then just stay there forever. We have to maintain every year as we're going through the process. And if you've had a chance to go down to the rodeo, we are always in the Hayloft Gallery. We have an amazing connection with our community, including performances of our groups at TASB Governance Conference. We perform with Rotary. We do performances at the Yacht Club, of course, our Sylvan Beach Parade. We even go out to the Houston Astros to do performances for the national anthem, which is an incredible opportunity and experience for the kiddos to walk out. They won't let anybody on that grass, and they let our kids go out on that grass. So that's absolutely just wonderful. We participate in the Houston Symphony educational programs, which allows our 2nd graders and our 5th graders, more 2nd graders with the budget constraints that the Houston Symphony has now put on us. We can only take off our 2nd graders to go down and experience Jones Hall and the educational process of what a symphony orchestra, and this is the professional Houston Symphony that they put on concerts for. They provide us with literature prior to the concert as they enter, so they have a knowledge and a working knowledge of what they're going to hear that day. And for some of our students, that may be the only time they ever get to go to see the Houston Symphony. And the fact that they can do that in this environment is just an incredible opportunity for us. So before we get to our accomplishments, I think it's really important, and let me back up because I did forget one thing, I'm sorry. The first bullet, and I want to read this to you. The National Association of Music Merchants represents over 1,000 companies in retail music at every level in a variety of forms. This is everything from companies you know, such as Apple, Bose, Beats, Yamaha, and Sony, to other companies like Music and Arts and Guitar Center. This diverse and far-reaching association identifies every year through an intense survey and evaluation process qualifications for select school districts from 12,000 eligible across the country to be selected as one of just over 1,000 to be named as one of the best communities for music education. For the 3rd year in a row, we are proud to say that LaPorte ISD has been selected to this prestigious group.
That's awesome.
And I wanted to bring up these individuals because these are the folks that make these kind of programs happen. And I'm going to read two numbers for you. The first number I'm going to read to you is the number of years that they are in education. Then I'm going to read the number of years that they've been in LaPorte. So ladies and gentlemen, when your name is ready, if you would just raise your hand, please. From our band, and this is not all-inclusive, this is not every single fine arts director that we have. These are the ones that are here in town right now. Kevin Pubb, Lomax Junior High Band, 25 years in education, 21 here in LaPorte. I'm sorry, if you would hold your applause. I'll do it at the end. Because there's a point to all this. Don McCandless, LaPorte Junior High, formerly Baker, 26 years in education, 4 years in LaPorte. Karen Skaggs, Baker, Band, 11 years in education, 5 years in LaPorte. Mark Fennell, 11 years in education, 11 years at LaPorte. Choir department, Brian Sutherland, LaPorte High School, 16 years in education, 12 years in LaPorte. Orchestra, Christina Byers, 31 years in education, she's at the high school, 31 years in education, 5 years here at LaPorte, and she left and came back to LaPorte. Christina Hoffman, another leave and come back. 19 years in education, 15 years in LaPorte as our Baker orchestra director. Janine Watson, our dance director at the high school, 25 years, 11 years in LaPorte. Emily Reedy in our visual arts department, LaPorte High School, 8 years in education, 3 years in LaPorte. Andrea Angelo, 18 years in education, 17 years in LaPorte at LaPorte High School Theater. Our elementary music, Jamie Leupold, 38 years in education,
Wow.
8 years in LaPorte. And our newbie and our baby, Shelby Zika, 6 months in education, 6 months in LaPorte. She joined us again. And I think this is important to recognize Miss Marilyn Newman, our fine arts secretary, that holds this entire group together. 33 years in education and 25 years in LaPorte.
Wow.
And the reason that I went through those numbers, we're averaging a 20 years of experience of educators that are standing just in front of you right now, and 10 years in LaPorte. These folks are committed to our programs and our kids. And because of them, these are some of our accomplishments. Over 110 performances in shows and displays during this past 23-24 school year. Our marching band was a UIL Marching Band Regional Sweepstakes and area finalist, finishing in the top 5 at the area level. Our concert and sight reading program in the springtime garnered 16 UIL Sweepstakes and First Division awards. Our high school one-act play was a second place UIL high school one-act play and by-district qualifier. We had 30 finalists at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Art Competition grades K through 12. Our indoor drumline was a state qualifier at the Texas Color Guard and Winter Guard International Indoor Drumline competitions. We had 30 TMEA region music students. In our dance department, we ended up with 9 dance sweepstakes, 3 best in class, and 4 first runner-up and grand champion soloists.
Wow.
These are the folks that were most directly responsible to get our kids to where they needed to be. And I think that deserves a round of applause. Okay, so what's our vision? Where are we going? In music and in art, you're learning a language. You're learning a foreign language to many of our students. They're bilingual through our programs. It's just a question of what language do you want to speak. So together, I want to teach you guys where our vision is going to be. If you're learning 2 notes that are put together, it's called 2/8 notes. And we use mnemonic devices sometimes. Instead of saying one and, we may say something like La Porte. So we say things La Porte. Can you guys say that with me? Go. La Porte. Do it again, please. La Porte. Please, again. La Porte. Makes me feel like a band director again. When we use 3 notes, sometimes we'll say things like triplet. We use triplet. So we say triplet. Can you guys say triplet? Go. Triplet. Do it again. Triplet. Do 2 in a row. Triplet. Good. Now, those are all pretty symmetrical things. But one of the hardest things for a student to learn is what is called an asymmetrical rhythm. When you're learning things that aren't even, 4s and 2s, those are symmetric. Squares. Triangles sometimes can be asymmetric. When you get into 5s, and you have 3s plus 2s, or 2 plus 3s, depending upon how we're grouping those, how we're going to teach them. So one of the things we use in our world are things like opportunity. 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 That's 5. That teaches us septuplet. Can you all say that with me? We're going to say opportunity. Ready? Go. Opportunity. Now, can we do that with some rhythm? We're going to say opportunity 1. Go. Opportunity 1. Do it again. Opportunity 1. With spirit. Opportunity 1. And that's the vision, I think, that we're going to have moving forward for the LaPorte Fine Arts thing. And the reason I wanted you to say it is we can't expect our students to be instilled with these kind of values if, as the adults, are not really bought into understanding this is how we teach, this is what we do. So with opportunity, this is what's upcoming for us. July 15th starts our high school marching band camp. Anyone that wants to come out in that heat to observe, please, we welcome it. July 15th also starts our orchestra, our district orchestra camp, in which we bring all of the students, grades 6 through 12, to have the opportunity to learn and really start beefing up for the next year. Actually, 7 through 12 for the next year. July 26th starts our Chados summer camp. Actually, it begins the Chados camp. Did I say that right?
Correct.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Some of the things we're going to continue to do is we're going to continue to grow our elementary fine arts camp, and we're going to get diverse in how and what we're offering for our kids. To me, if we could get 200 kids at that camp, that would be wonderful. We only charge $40 for 4 days, all day, $10 a day. You can't get another program. No, I'm not going to say that. But new coming into this next fall is our offerings of dance at the junior high. We plan to offer one section of dances at both junior highs. We're going to expand as many opportunities as we can for our kids to get out there and get on display in competitions, performances, shows, and exhibitions. Of course, we're going to continue to grow all of the excellence in all of our programs. One of the things, and this was back on the other slide, and I forgot to mention it, and I'm sorry. I have a vision to move our piano lab 1 per every elementary school.
Yes.
If we can do that over the next several years so that we can have those classes going up to our Bangor campus, I think that those students will have, that will be something that no other district in our area offers. Of course, every student can have a place in one of our programs. There's nowhere, my goal is to take 85% up to 99%, and the only reason I say not 100% is you have to give that degree of difference one way or the other. You can find us at LP ISD FA on Twitter. We're working to get our Facebook up and running. Each of our programs has their own Twitter account as well. We use something called Charms, Cut Time, and Sports U to communicate pretty effectively with all of our parents. The communication between our programs and our parents is always ongoing. You can always find a parent after school in one of our programs rooms with our booster programs, and they always know what's going on. So our doors are always open. I want to thank you guys for everything that you folks do. You make everything possible for us to be able to do what we do. There's a reason. I'm in my 29th year and going into my 13th year here at LaPorte. It's been a magical ride, and there's no place like LaPorte to be able to do what we do the way we do it, and I thank you. So that is it for us. Do I have any questions?
Any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
And thank your team for being here.
Yes.
Both teams,
Yes.
thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Clap on three.
Nova side, you want to stand on?
Nova side. I don't even know how you follow that up.
Opportunity.
There it is. Okay, hopefully I can bring some excitement. Safety and environment. There we go, clap 3. Good evening, Board President Hanks, Board of Trustees, Dr. Jackson, here tonight to give you your June update as it relates to safety in LaPorte ISD.
Hey, Dr. Bromley, real quick. Do not feel obligated to stay. It's y'all summer break. Get out of here, enjoy your time. We appreciate you being here.
Yes, thank y'all.
We know it's awkward. We're writing your names down, but don't worry about that.
T-test is still ongoing.
Sorry, what was your last name?
Okay, end of year, our audits ended for the year, and we did have one finding on our last audit. I believe Dr. Jackson gave you a document in there kind of defining the campus as that relates, and we can't do that in this session. But all 13 campuses this year were audited. That's different from last year. We only had 7, so half our district, give or take, was audited last year, and this year we were a complete full district. All of our campuses were hit.
Thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am. We had a total of 3 findings as it relates to the TEA model. Remember, there's 3 phases in this: trying to gain access, that's 1. Part 2, coming inside, asking for the door sweeps, that's 2. And then number 3, they walk the exterior to ensure the doors are functioning and there's no doors that are cracked and or not, any malfunctions that they may have. So with that last finding we had on one of our facilities, we did train the staff on May 23rd. We reported the findings. We held our last Safety and Security Committee, District Safety and Security Committee meeting on June 3rd. That went in front of them, and then tonight, obviously, in front of you. What we'll do next, that will be reported back to TEA. It's still a dashboard now, which is very nice, which on your document, you see the entire district and all the campuses. Then they come and they review it, and then they approve that we made the proper steps to take care of the actions. Any questions on safety before I transition? Okay, for bond, just a quick update on Lomax Junior High School. We've moved into our construction document phase, so just to kind of give you some information there, we'll be living in that phase till August. And what we're doing there is really trying to get the pricing. What we're trying to get to is to a GMP to eventually put in front of you. That'll allow us to begin construction, and we're hopeful really end of October, early November, we'll start to break down on the gym. The gym will happen first. That will move because we can do that while school's in session because it's detached. And then the renovation part of the fine arts piece in the auxiliary gym will happen in the summer of 25. Okay? Just a visual for you to kind of see where we are as far as design. This is the model that we're looking at. Again, when you look at square footage and kind of the footprint of that competition gym, it's almost identical to LaPorte Junior High School. That was by way of just trying to get those amounts of seats in there.
I just like that it's a standalone almost.
It is a standalone. Obviously, in the beginning, I kind of showed you possibility of future planning. If down the road, 10 years, if we grew and we wanted to go to that, we would be able to attach to that and continue a master plan of the building. Moving on to LaPorte High School, we've revved up our efforts here. Dr. Jackson asked us to push this quicker, just trying to get some things in place and really get an understanding of what work we have to do at LaPorte High School. There's a lot to it. It seems easy, but it's really not. And we know our main goal in phase 1, which will be the renovation portion, is to figure out how we don't have flooding issues at our school. Part of an action item tonight on consent agenda is a survey component that Pate Dawson will be doing for us with your blessing. Will give us a whole idea of where our water goes. We do not have that as a district. As we sit here, we've never surveyed our entire district land line as far as north of, well, in this case, north of LaPorte Junior High School. There's a detention pond that sits right back there, and it will move all the way down to the south detention that's out here next to admin, because we've got to figure out where we're going to take some of this water to ensure we can hold it and that it flows properly. But the focus area in phase 1 of LaPorte High School is really the entry point. If you look back at this model, it's the original, it's the areas we've not touched. And you can spend some time looking at this map, but 1957 was the last time someone touched that. It was the original build of the building. So that's what we'll be targeting and what we'll be doing when we come in there and start to tear that out and start to put emphasis on what that may look like. Obviously, the idea, and we're not even at a point to show you, these are some things the architects kind of drawn up. We're looking at some sort of 2-story piece to it, a grand entry when you come in, 25-foot ceilings that really opens it up. I think when you go in there now, you can feel that the ceilings are only about 9 feet. You kind of rub your hair. I don't have hair, but my bald head rubs on the top of that. But
We've got to look at the courtyard system, we've got to look at the tree component and all those different factors on what we're doing. So there's a lot of work that has to go into before we can even go and say this is what the design itself is going to look like. But early on, this is kind of what we're scheming out with our teams, Kate's team. And the two-story piece would connect to the B building. So if you're in the upstairs part of the B building, you could walk and actually cross over and get to the other side of the facility in that new pathway as it sets right now in early design phase. Okay. Again, this is early. You'll get way more of this. We've not even dug into this. Yes, you'll start seeing a lot of this as we move. I just kind of want to give you an idea of what we're doing. The courtyard, we will re-image that. At minimal, it will be turf. It will no longer be grass. You know, an issue we have now, we have to drive a lawnmower in the main hall to get into the courtyard to cut it. So that's fun. But we won't have that issue.
But again, some of these places were not touched at the last.
Correct. The places we're touching have not been touched. That's right.
But some of the things that we're going to be touching.
That's right.
In addition to that.
But these are ideas, and obviously not exactly like this, but there will be an overhang. If they do a two-story, that can have an opportunity for kids to be outside, to use that more. If it's turf, to really put an emphasis on that space to get use out of it. It is helpful. It's not being used. It's a crossover for some of the kids when they're transitioning in the building. The doors are open. Yeah, but it's not pretty.
I call it Central Park.
I call it prison yard.
Yeah, it's not pretty. But we plan to make it pretty with the project and hopefully put some emphasis on being able to use it and it being in the circulation of the building. So kids use it almost like a college because we can be safe inside there, right? We don't have to have fencing. It's inside our interior walls. Down the line, and we're, again, just way down the line. So in phase 2, and I don't even have a date where we're going to even get into this, but there's conversation on looking at the competition gym, tearing that down and rebuilding that. In that process, early talks has that moving into the building closer, and then you can see the brown spot there. That's the top of the current competition gym that could become parking for us. We know that's a big need for us as we talk through million of conversations about the stadium, but we would also add lockers in there for various sports. And with the ending of this, there wouldn't be a sport that we have that wouldn't have some sort of new locker space. So that's what this would do. And it, you know, we've got termite damage in that facility.
Yeah.
It's not in good shape. Rats, there's a couple. Yeah, it's not.
What's
so,
the what's the cost, I guess, and then on that? Is that something that's totally new, right?
So right now it's new. We've got a full budget that we're breaking apart with Lomax and Porte High School. So that's what we're getting to. Soon you'll have those numbers in front of you. We kind of earmarked some money when we went to the bond, and it's sitting there. We've not identified which one gets what per se. Any questions on the high school? Okay, so Bulldog Stadium Development Center. It's moving, as long as we can keep the rain off. You know, I saw there's something out in the Gulf, or they're talking about it. I'm just trying to keep them away from us, right? Because they're making up ground, and we're doing really good. We average about 125 men on site a day. We've got all types of crafts out there. The guys just never stop. The quicker we can get our framing up and get exteriors on buildings, the better we'll be because they can continue to work. And we're getting in some of those places, specifically the press box, that they can do things even when it's raining. So that's good. But a lot of our systems, our HVACs, are being worked on and put in place. The newest piece, if you've been out there, if you drove by, you start to see the brick. So they put the brick on the interior wall of the bowl. So that obviously changed the whole look of the place, and that's something very unique. They will have a stone cap that'll go on top of it. Remember, we're matching Bulldog Center and all the other facilities, so all that brick is the same, and it will match as we move along. Bricks going on, walkways are being poured on the second level, so the concourse on the top level of the bowl, and then the home and the visitor side, they're starting to pour the concrete. You can kind of see a picture there. And then their framing continues on the press box. It's moving fairly quickly, and they're starting to apply all the damp proofing. So all that red, it looks like red paint. They put that on there, and then they start to put the brick in there. It's just a barrier. It keeps the moisture out. Obviously, being by the bay, that's important for us. Press box. So what you see here is the third level, really, which is the first level. Is what we call the suite level. We have 4 different rooms in there. The main suite level room that's in the center, very similar to when we were at Deer Park, kind of that same model. It's 2 tiered, so there's an upper level that you can sit at, and then you can walk downstairs and you're down below, and there'll be a bench seating component that's set up. They're framing that up. They poured the concrete in there. I don't know, at one point you may have drove by and saw these big white boxes up there. So they actually based those, and that's the framing of their concrete. It's kind of neat. I was able to see some videos of it, but just some viewpoints of what you see there. But again, the press box is something that's happening very quickly.
Level 4, it's up there. You can see the bay, it's beautiful. You can see it by pictures. There on the left, you can see that's actually the observation deck for the band. We talked heavily about that, being able to judge and be up there and do those things. So a lot of that is starting to take shape, and it's just exciting to see. But press box is really a main piece of what they're doing right now because they're trying to close it in. You can see the metal framing coming up, obviously all hurricane rated, and they're going to come and close that in as we go.
Press box taller than the...
Yes, it's tall. And I'll give you, I don't have that, but I'll give you the date on that. But it is tall. Development Center, same thing. It's taken off. The decking is starting to go on the second floor. They're going to start the roofing very quickly and pour the concrete on the second floor. But you can really start to see what it's looking like. On the bottom left, that's looking, if you're walking in the spine of the building, looking to the left, that's the football locker room. On the right, top right corner picture, that is the other locker room, soccer, track, cross country, whatnot. And then the top left two pictures is the PD space upstairs. So remember, we've got, when it's opened up, capacity of about 475, 500 people, and then that breaks apart into 5 partition spaces. So we can, as Doc says, we can rent that out, put elementaries in there, and, really kind of show that off, because that's going to be very impressive to be able to use that as we go through. Another aerial picture, you're going to start seeing the roofing component to go on that. You can see the scoreboard framing has gone up. If you look at the very top, that's the frame for our former video board that we had at Old Bulldog Stadium. So we saved that. It's still under warranty. Remember, we're doing that. We're also reusing our lights. They'll be coming up very soon. They're laying the foundations for the lights. We stored those, and we'll be putting our old video board on the outside of the south side of the bowl facing Fairmont side.
Is that a parking lot coming off the exit there on the where the bodies are? Here? Yeah, is that a parking lot?
No, that is, what that will be is a fire component where they can get in, and there's going to be a mechanical yard right there.
Was there originally?
There'll be parking more in the front of the facility. It's not put up yet, but what you see out there is pretty much what it will be. No, it's not. Okay, and then lastly, just real quick on some of the things, we got a lot going on. We've already started over the summer on getting some stage renovations, so that's going to be one of our major projects. Throughout the elementaries, updating the stage lighting, the flooring on the stages, and that's some are getting new flooring, some are getting a complete sand and refinished, some are getting a brand new entire wood base for their setup. Audio systems throughout the elementaries, as well as curtains, depending on where you are, and projector systems. And I kind of put a picture, that's Rizzuto there in that picture, but we'll no longer have to cart out a projector. We'll have all those put in the ceiling, and we'll have drop-down mounts. So much like you see here and other places. Carpeting and flooring, we've got some projects, Heritage, College Park, some other places that we're doing that. Painting is going to be another big deal. I talked to you previously about the timing of summer. We went out to bid, got some vendors. Some of those things are on the agenda tonight for you to approve, but we'll be hitting a bunch of campuses with vendors, and then our guys will be taking care of campus classrooms. So we've got work orders for classrooms. That's happening at some of the campuses that we're not getting in, but hallways and classrooms and all that will be getting touched up. Hopefully, we won't have every campus done by the end of the summer, but as we roll into next year, we'll have every campus at least painted, touched up, or of some sort. We've got some struggles at like a Rizzuto. They've got tile walls. We can't paint that. So we're looking at some other options. Heritage, Bayshore, they've got a vinyl wall. It's just weird. So we're looking at some things on how to get those and make those look a little bit better. Additional projects. Talked about the boardroom. College Park, we're going to renovate their entire library, open that up, do a new circulation desk, put a door in, all new seating, the whole nine. LPJ, the furniture replacement's already started. That started here 2 weeks ago, so they're already removing the furniture out. We'll be putting that in. That'll go throughout the summer, but they'll get an entire turnover of furniture and whatnot as far as student desk and teacher components. That was a lot. Trying to do fast. Any questions?
Yeah, just one.
Yes, sir.
We may have talked about it before. Lomax in their new freestanding gym. There's no laundry room in there, is there?
There's not.
So they have to have their laundry. Does the board have their laundry taken to, or do they have a laundry room, junior high? Do y'all have a laundry room, Keith?
We don't have one. We do it district-wide. So it gets dropped off, and we've got gentlemen that come pick it up, and we take it to. We used to have.
Is it efficient?
So we used to have a district facility, and it is, but we don't have that right now because we tore it down.
Okay.
So right now, we're actually, we're contracted to use a facility, a laundromat that we do.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
But once it gets rebuilt, the laundry room.
Yeah, we'll have it in the field house. Yes.
So we're going to build a fence around Lomax Junior High. We're going to have that detached.
Yes, so we waited on the security fencing in the back. Once we get that in, we'll close all that off, that's correct. And we'll have to work with, I know Little Leagues and other items that come out, so we'll work with them to ensure that, whoever's over those organizations have access to that. We won't lock them out of that.
Can you tell us the seating capacity at the new stadium again?
Yes, 7,800.
Okay.
I could be off, maybe 100, but I think it's 7,800.
Okay, close enough.
I hate to say this on record, but I was impressed with the facility, the press box at Deer Park Stadium, Ralph Sharp Stadium.
Hold on, what?
Where we congregated. So I'm more curious, like with this new press box, that's gonna be beautiful, but how many will it accommodate? Is it similar size and scope as?
So where we were at Deer Park, it's larger than that.
It is.
It is larger than that. So the main suite area is, that probably roughly 30, give or take. I think ours is about 45 in there. But it's the main piece of that, and I'll get you those numbers. But I know it's larger than that.
And I know we have the event center, but
Yes. So if you remember, I don't know if we all went to Sheldon, but Sheldon's larger than.
it's large enough that we can have like a small group if people want to be in there or.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, the main piece of it, we didn't put, I mean, it's sweet. So it's all of that, and then there's 2 kickouts, small ones that we could rent out, or however we want to handle that. Obviously, not with. Any other questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
One real quick thing, and this was breaking news yesterday. I'm not done. So back in March, Ms. Rice applied for the Clean School Bus Grant. We just found out yesterday we were awarded $1.4 million. So that'll allow us to essentially take one of our cycles and they pay for it, right? We'll get 20 buses out of that deal. So it's a big deal. So we're excited about that.
Great job. We love, show us the money, show us the money. Thank you for those updates. We'll move to item 10, consent agenda. Thank y'all for sitting through. All right. A, determine and approve any consent agenda items. B, approve board meeting minutes. 1, regular board meeting minutes, May 14th, 2024. 2, special team building minutes, June 3rd, 2024. C, receive principals report. 1, Early Childhood Center. 2, Bayshore Elementary. 3, College Park Elementary. 4, Heritage Elementary. 5, Jenny Reed Elementary. 6, LaPorte Elementary. 7, Rizzuto Elementary. 8, Lomax Elementary. 9, Baker 6th grade campus. 10, LaPorte Junior High. 11, Lomax Junior High. 12, LaPorte High School. 13, DeWalt High School. D, receive financial reports for April 2024. E, receive human resource report. F, approve employment of professional staff. G, approve budget amendment. H, approve compensation plan for 2024-2025. I, approve continuation of 3-year plan, year 2 of workers' compensation coverage with claims administrative services. J, approve designees other than superintendent to accept resignations from contract employees at any time. K, approve drainage survey at LaPorte High School bond project. L, approve interlocal agreement for Harris County Youth Services for 2024-2025. M, approve interlocal agreement for Harris County Department of Education High Point for 2024-2025. N, approve interlocal agreement of purchase of Texas Educator Excellence Management System, TEAMS, annual license fee. O, approve proposal of supplemental food and catering services. P, approve proposal of supplemental special education contracted services. Q, approve proposed Porte ISD of Innovation DOI plan amendment. R, approve purchase of painting services. S, approve purchase of student laptops. T, approve purchase encumbrances over $50,000 for 2024-2025. U, approve receipt and first reading of TASB Local Policy 123. V, approve regular budget meeting schedule for first semester for 2024-2025. W, adopt a resolution number 2024-08 to pay employees for missed workday due to school closure for heavy rains and flooding weather. X, adopt a resolution number 2024-09 for review of investment policy and investment strategies, and resolution number 2024-10 for investment officer and authorization of broker dealers. Y, adopt a resolution number 2024-11 for annual review and approval of district's investment training provider. Z, receive a public notice of intent to apply for federal funds allocated to the Porte ISD for school year 2024-2025.
A, B 1 through 2, 1 and 2, C 1 through 13, D, E, F, G, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z.
All right. I seek a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Shoppe. A call for a vote. All right. Unanimous. Thank you, board. We'll go to our first pulled item. Mr. Paris.
I would like to recommend we table this until the next full meeting.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor.
I can give a date for this.
No.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Martin. I call for a vote. It is unanimous. Thank you. And our last item?
Yeah, Stacy, I'm sorry, I meant to ask you this before. On the, where it says loss fund maximum, 560,000, is that the max they're going to pay out in the event of our claims, legal fees, and everything? Because that's what it kind of reads out to be. Is this a self-insured?
No, it's not a self-insured. I mean, we pay CES to handle the program for us. But yes, I'll find out for sure, but I do believe that's what that means.
That's, for some reason, that's a really low number. 560,000, well, one, it's a random number, but, you know, with the legal fees or a really bad injury, I would assume we would get to $500,000 fairly quickly. So we're just asking.
Yes, I will definitely find out and let you know tomorrow.
That's all my questions. We're in a 3-year contract, so I mean, make a motion to approve it.
Motion to approve. Got a second?
Second.
Second. Call for a vote. Thank you, board. We are moving along to item 11, and item A, adopt a fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. As mentioned, we are going to table that discussion until our posted meeting. So we'll move on to B, consider notice of intent to apply for a license permit to sell alcoholic beverages within 1,000 feet of a school.
Will you seek a motion?
We can. Everybody's read the proposal. Got a motion on the floor. Take a vote. A second.
Wait, I haven't voted. I haven't made the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said that.
No, I was making sure we could make one. I moved that the Board of Trustees deny the issuance of any license or permit for the sale of alcoholic beverages on the property located at 1105 South Broadway Street, close proximity to LaPorte High School, and authorize the superintendent or his designee to take any and all action related to this motion.
Second.
Seconded. We'll call for a vote.
So later we vote yes or
Yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate it. No, thank you for making the motion there. And we'll go to our last action item. C, delegate contractual authority to obligate the school district under Texas Education Code, GEC 11.1511C4, to superintendent solely for the purpose of obligating the district under TEC 48.257 and TEC Chapter 49, Subchapters A and D, and the rules adopted by the Commissioner of Education as authorized under the TEC 49.006. This includes approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit for the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit, netting Chapter 48 funding. Jeez almighty.
Yes, sir.
Won't we do this every year?
Yes, this is, yeah.
Something that comes up this time of year.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
it's just a legal thing we have
It
to.
is.
Yep.
I make a motion, we
Second.
approve this.
All right.
Do you have to read the whole thing? I don't know.
No, I didn't.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you, board. We are on to our last deal, our action on closed session items. There is no further action required tonight, so we will move to item 13, closing comments for the board of trustees. Any of you can take the floor.
We usually start with me, so I was just going to go. I wanted to thank Stacy and the Human Resource Department and everybody for putting together the budget and working on the compensation plan, all of our questions. I understand we're not always the most clear on the things that we're seeking, so I know it can be a challenge. So I do appreciate all the hard work and the last minute changes and the things that we're looking at and your effort there. So thank you, and great presentation today from all of the people.
Have a good summer.
Many words. Jeff, ladies, either?
I'm kind of with you. Have a good summer. You've earned it. That 1 month, right? 3 weeks, whatever it is.
14 minutes.
I just want to say that the administrative reports tonight were enlightening and very helpful, and I really appreciated all the information that was given to us. And I hope everybody is enjoying what little time you do have off and getting some R&R, because you deserve it. That's it.
Jeff?
I echo those sentiments, and I just appreciate the job that y'all have done and the strides we're making in academics. I've seen it in my 3rd and 5th grader. Y'all working very hard, so we appreciate that. Certainly I appreciate the reports from the athletics and the fine arts and just all the amazing things that are going on. Being a father of elementary age kids, we love the camps and all the different things you guys provide. And it's a lot of extra work during the summer when you guys want to be at home with your families. And so we just, again, as a parent, we appreciate that sincerely.
Here. I did, being the last meeting of the year, just want to one more time just acknowledge the tremendous success I feel that this year has been for all of us. I think that this district has really shined, and I'm super proud that we can all call LP home. Obviously, the teacher incentive allotment application was approved. That's big. We have SRO presence on all LP ISD campuses. We've got the panic badges, the HEB Excellence Award, the U.S. News and World Report Best Elementary Schools. We did pass that bond. I know it seems like forever ago, but that was really all within this last year. We have received, again, a superior rating from the first for our accounting. 2 awards in excellence in financial reporting. 500 graduates. I mean, we could go on and on. It is just affirmation of what's going on every single day. The people answering the bell and showing up and working diligently and pouring themselves into these kids. And it's showing. And again, I sound like a broken record, but it doesn't make it any less sincere. It is truly remarkable. You can feel it in the air when you walk in this community and you're visiting campuses, and you can see it, you can feel it, and it's special. And I don't want to ever take that for granted. So we applaud your efforts and everybody, what you've done to this point. We look forward to getting back at it. But as my counterparts all said, enjoy your summer, get some rest and relaxation. If there's anything the board can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. With that said, we'll wrap up the year at 8.